Welcome to Skate School. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about boards and board sizes. The purpose of this video is for you to understand what kind of board to be looking for that's going to best suit you when you start skateboarding. So when it comes to the skateboard itself, there's a couple things that we need to talk about. Skateboards come in many different shapes and sizes, and depending on what kind of board you get is going to help determine what kind of skateboarding you're going to be doing. When buying a skateboard offline or going into a skate shop, they're going to ask you what size you ride. When it comes to picking out a skateboard, there are two types of measurements. There's length and then width. The length of a skateboard is typically between 28 inches to 32 inches long, but is almost never mentioned when you are at a skate shop or looking online. When it comes to the width of a skateboard, there are many different sizes. The reason that the length of a skateboard is almost never mentioned when actually purchasing a skateboard is because the width of your skateboard is what determines the length of your skateboard. There are so many different types of sizes of skateboards, and what kind of skating you want to do is going to determine what size of skateboard you should probably ride. There are no rules to what size of skateboard you should be riding, but there definitely are some guidelines that you could follow that are going to help. When it comes to street skating, you're going to want a smaller board. And the reason for that is because within street skating itself, you end up flipping your board around a lot. So having a smaller board will give you more control when doing technical skateboarding. When it comes to vert skating or transition skating, it's usually better to have a bigger board. And the reason for that is because you're oftentimes in the air a lot more. Having a bigger board is going to give you a better target to land on. It's easier to grab and it's easier to spin with. If you like to do both street skating and transition skating, a nice size to pick would be a middle size. The reason for that is because you'll still be able to do the technical aspects of street skating while still being able to accomplish the tricks that you want to do in vert skating. So here are some guidelines that I have found helpful when picking your first skateboard. When it comes to picking a skateboard, your height and shoe size plays a factor in what size of skateboard is right for you. If you are 5 years old or younger, about 3 feet tall, with a size 3 shoe, you're going to want to look into a micro board. A micro board size is 6.5 inches or 6.75 inches width. If you are between the ages of 6 to 8 years old, 3 to 4.5 feet tall, with a shoe size of 4 to 6, you will want to be looking at the mini size, which is 7 inches. If you are 9 to 12 years old, between 4.5 feet tall to 5.5 feet tall, with a shoe size between 7 and 8, you'll want to be looking at the mid-size decks, which is 7.5 to 7.75. If you are 13 years old, 5 feet or taller, with a shoe size of 9 or above, you're going to want to look at the full-size deck range, which is 8 inches or higher. Again, this is just general guidelines if you've never picked a skateboard before. It's just something that you're going to have to figure out what you like to ride and what's comfortable for you and what's easier for you to maneuver your skateboard around. So when I was younger, I did a lot of street skating. So I rode a 7-inch skateboard, and as I grew taller and my feet got bigger, I went up in my board size. And now I ride an 8.5. Now that I'm older, I like skating a lot more of transition or vert, so I need a bigger board. But just because I have a bigger board does not limit me from skateboarding in the streets. It just takes a little bit of an adjustment and getting used to. Another reference is pro skateboarder Andrew Reynolds. He's 6 feet 2 inches tall with a size 11 shoe and skates an 8.5. And the type of skating he does is mostly street skating, but is very good at transition as well. Because Andrew Reynolds is so tall and has a bigger size foot, an 8.5 is going to be really good for him in whatever he decides to skateboard. Another professional skateboarder to reference is Kern Caples, who is 5 feet 10 inches tall and rides an 8.4. Kern skates a lot of transition, but also skates street as well, but is mostly known for his surf-like style within transition skateboarding. The last skateboarder I wanted to reference was Kader Cilia. The reason I wanted to bring him up was because he skates an 8.8 board, but skates a lot of street. The whole reason of me bringing up any of these differences between pros and myself and even you you is because it really doesn't matter what size board you ride, but there are little things about the size of board that you ride that will help you with the type of skateboarding that you're trying to do. Same thing goes when it comes to board brands and the styles of the boards and the shapes of the boards. It's all up to personal preference, and these are just general guidelines. So what it's going to be best for you is just to pick something that you like. Maybe it has a cool graphic, maybe you like the shape, and just start riding it and see how you feel about it. So that's skateboards. Hopefully I answered some of your questions for you, and hopefully you have an awesome experience picking out your skateboard for the first time.